Imagine waking up in the morning doing everything you believe is right for your health, eating the foods you are told are healthy, and yet your energy crashes by mid morning, your cravings get stronger, and your body slowly gains weight without you understanding why. You look at your breakfast plate and think, I'm eating healthy, so why do I feel worse? The truth is, some of the most popular breakfast foods in the world are quietly sabotaging your metabolism, your blood sugar, and your long term health. And the scary part is that most people eat these foods every single morning, thinking they're doing something good for their body. Today, I'm politely begging you to reconsider a few of these so called healthy breakfast foods, because once you understand what they actually do inside your body, you might never look at them the same way again. Let's start with something almost everyone trusts: breakfast cereal. For decades, cereal has been marketed as the perfect healthy start to the day. Bright boxes, promises of whole grains, vitamins, and heart health. But if you turn that cereal box around and actually look at the ingredients, what you'll often find is something very different. Most breakfast cereals are extremely processed and loaded with refined carbohydrates and added sugar. Even the ones labeled as whole grain can spike your blood sugar incredibly fast. When you eat a bowl of cereal, your body quickly converts those refined carbs into glucose. Your blood sugar shoots up, your pancreas releases a surge of insulin, and within an hour or two, that spike crashes. That crash is the reason you suddenly feel tired, hungry, and craving more food. Long before lunchtime, instead of fueling your body for the day, that bowl of cereal may actually be setting you up for a roller coaster of energy and cravings. Then there's flavored yogurt, another breakfast food that carries a healthy image. Yogurt itself can be nutritious, especially when it contains beneficial probiotics and protein. But the problem is the flavored varieties sitting on grocery store shelves. Many of these contain huge amounts of added sugar, as some single serving flavored yogurts contain as much sugar as a dessert. When you combine that sugar with low protein content in some brands, it becomes a breakfast that spikes blood sugar rather than stabilizing it. People think they're choosing something light and healthy, but what they're really getting is a disguised sugar bomb that leaves them hungry again shortly after eating. Now let's talk about fruit juice, which might be one of the biggest breakfast myths ever created. Fruit is healthy, no question about it. Whole fruit contains fiber, vitamins, antioxidants, and natural sugars that are absorbed more slowly because of that fiber. But fruit juice is a completely different story. When fruit is turned into juice, the fiber is removed, leaving mostly sugar behind. A single glass of orange juice can contain the sugar equivalent of several oranges, and it's extremely easy to drink in seconds. Because there's no fiber to slow things down, your body absorbs that sugar very quickly, causing a rapid blood sugar spike. Many people drink juice thinking it's a vitamin-packed healthy choice, but metabolically, it behaves much closer to a sugary drink than to whole fruit. Another breakfast favorite that deserves a closer look is toast with jam. On the surface, it seems harmless. Bread, fruit spread, maybe a little butter, but when you look at the composition, it's mostly refined carbohydrates and sugar with very little protein or healthy fat. White bread, in particular, digests rapidly and converts into glucose quickly in the bloodstream. Jam adds another layer of sugar on top. The result is a breakfast that digests extremely fast and leaves you hungry again much sooner than you'd expect. Without enough protein, fat, or fiber to slow digestion, your body burns through it quickly, which is why many people feel hungry again within an hour or two after eating it. Granola is another food that many people assume is one of the healthiest breakfast choices available. It's often associated with fitness, natural living, and clean eating. But the reality is that many store-bought granolas are extremely calorie-dense and packed with sugar. They often contain added syrups, oils, and sweeteners that dramatically increase their calorie count. What starts as oats and nuts can quickly turn into something that contains more sugar than dessert cereal. Because granola is so dense, it's also very easy to overeat without realizing it. A small bowl may contain far more calories than people expect, and when it's paired with sweetened yogurt or milk, the sugar content climbs even higher. Another breakfast item that many people trust is the classic breakfast smoothie. Smoothies can absolutely be healthy, but many commercial smoothies, or homemade ones loaded with fruit, can end up delivering massive amounts of sugar in a single drink. When multiple fruits, fruit juice, honey, and flavored yogurt are blended together, the total sugar load becomes very high, and because smoothies are liquid, they're digested quickly, meaning they don't keep you full as long as whole foods might. This often leads people to feel hungry again not long after finishing their drink. Even seemingly Healthy, breakfast bars deserve some skepticism. Many breakfast bars are essentially candy bars in disguise. They're marketed as convenient health foods, but when you read the ingredient list, you often find sugars, syrups, refined grains, and artificial additives. Some contain only a few grams of protein and very little fiber, which means they do very little to keep you satisfied throughout the morning. Now, here's the important thing to understand. The reason these foods can be problematic isn't because they're evil or forbidden. It's because of how they affect your body's energy systems. Breakfast sets the metabolic tone for the entire day. When your first meal is high in sugar and refined carbohydrates, it tends to create a cycle of blood sugar spikes and crashes. That cycle can lead to fatigue, irritability, stronger cravings, and overeating later in the day. Over time, frequent blood sugar spikes can also contribute to insulin resistance and metabolic problems. Your body thrives on stable energy, not constant spikes and crashes. That stability usually comes from meals that include protein, healthy fats, and fiber. These nutrients slow digestion, keep blood sugar more balanced, and help you stay full for longer. When breakfast includes those elements, many people notice they feel more focused, energized, and satisfied throughout the morning. Think about how differently your body responds to two different breakfasts. One breakfast might be a bowl of sugary cereal and a glass of juice. The other might include eggs, some healthy fats, and fiber-rich foods. The first breakfast digests quickly and causes a rapid spike in blood sugar. The second one digests more slowly, providing steady energy over time. That difference can dramatically affect how you feel for the rest of the day. Another important factor is satiety, the feeling of fullness that keeps you from constantly thinking about food. Protein is one of the most powerful nutrients for satiety. When breakfast lacks protein, people tend to feel hungry sooner and snack more throughout the day. Many popular breakfast foods contain very little protein, which is one of the reasons they fail to keep people satisfied. There's also the psychological aspect. For decades, the food industry has spent billions of dollars convincing us that certain foods are healthy. Labels like whole grain, natural, low fat, and heart healthy are powerful marketing tools. But those labels don't always tell the full story. Applies to you. Subtract 1 point, ready? Sometimes they distract from the actual nutritional profile of the food. Learning to look beyond the marketing and understand what's really inside your food can be one of the most powerful steps you take for your health. The good news is that breakfast doesn't have to be complicated to be healthier. Small shifts can make a big difference. Choosing foods that include protein, fiber, and healthy fats can help stabilize energy levels and reduce cravings later in the day. Whole foods that are minimally processed tend to support the body much better than heavily processed options. Another thing many people discover is that they don't actually need the sugary breakfast foods they grew up with. Once they start eating breakfasts that keep them full and energized, they often find that their cravings for those old foods decrease naturally. Their energy becomes more stable, their focus improves, and they don't feel the constant urge to snack. It's also important to remember that everyone's body responds a little differently. Some people tolerate certain foods better than others. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is awareness. When you understand how certain foods affect your body, you can make choices that support your energy, metabolism, and long-term health. So when I say I'm politely begging you to rethink some of these healthy breakfast foods, it's not about fear or restriction. It's about helping you avoid the hidden traps that millions of people fall into every morning. It's about helping you start your day in a way that truly supports your body rather than working against it. The first meal of the day has a powerful influence on how the rest of your day unfolds. It affects your energy, your hunger levels, your focus, and even your mood. By becoming more aware of what's actually in that foods you eat in the morning, you give yourself the power to take control of that process. And sometimes the biggest health breakthroughs come from the simplest realizations. The moment you recognize that some of the foods marketed as healthy may actually be holding you back is the moment you start making smarter choices. Choices that support steady energy, balanced blood sugar, and a body that feels stronger and more resilient over time. Because at the end of the day, breakfast shouldn't leave you feeling tired, hungry, and craving more sugar before the morning is even over. It should fuel you, support your body, and help you start the day feeling strong, clear, and energized. And once you start paying attention to how your body responds to different foods, you may discover that the healthiest breakfast choices are often much simpler than the ones we've been sold for years. Many of the breakfast foods people believe are healthy have been carefully marketed that way for decades, but when you look closely at what they contain and how they affect the body, the reality can be very different. Foods like breakfast cereals, flavored yogurts, fruit juices, toast with jam, and even many popular breakfast bars are often packed with hidden sugars and refined carbohydrates that digest extremely quickly once they enter the body. At first glance, they appear convenient, light, and healthy, especially when labels highlight words like whole grain, natural, low fat, or fortified with vitamins. These labels create the impression that these foods support health, but in many cases, they mask the fact that the products are highly processed and designed to taste sweet and satisfying, rather than provide long lasting nutrition. When these types of foods are eaten in the morning, they can cause a rapid spike in blood sugar. Refined carbohydrates break down quickly into glucose, which oozes the bloodstream within a short period of time. The body responds by releasing a large amount of insulin in order to move that glucose out of the blood and into the cells. This sudden surge, followed by a sharp drop, creates a cycle that many people experience every morning without realizing what is causing it. After the initial boost of energy, blood sugar levels often fall quickly, leading to fatigue, brain fog, irritability, and the familiar feeling of being hungry again much sooner than expected. This process explains why someone might eat a bowl of cereal or drink a glass of fruit juice and still feel the urge to snack just a couple of hours later. The meal simply doesn't contain the balance of nutrients needed to keep the body satisfied for long. Without enough protein, fiber, and healthy fats to slow digestion, the body burns through the meal quickly. The result is an energy roller coaster where blood sugar rises sharply and then crashes, triggering cravings for more sugary or high carbohydrate foods. Over time, repeating this pattern day after day can have a deeper impact on the body's metabolism. Frequent spikes in blood sugar force the pancreas to constantly release insulin, and this repeated demand can gradually affect how efficiently the body manages glucose. When insulin levels remain high for long periods, the body may begin to store more fat and struggle to regulate appetite properly. People often find themselves feeling hungrier throughout the day, even if they are eating enough calories overall. What seemed like a simple breakfast choice slowly turns into a pattern that encourages overeating and unstable energy levels. Another reason these foods can be misleading is the way they are presented on store shelves. Packaging is designed to make them appear wholesome and beneficial, often showing images of fresh fruit, grains, or active healthy lifestyles. This marketing can make it easy to assume the product is good for you without checking the ingredient list or understanding how much added sugar it contains. In reality, some breakfast cereals and flavored yogurts contain sugar levels that are closer to dessert than to a balanced meal, yet they continue to be promoted as ideal morning options for families and children. Because breakfast sets the tone for the entire day. Starting with foods that spike blood sugar can make it much harder to maintain steady energy and appetite control. The first meal acts almost like a signal to the body about how it should manage fuel for the next several hours, and when that signal comes from refined carbohydrates and sugar, the body often responds with instability rather than balance. Many people assume that feeling tired or hungry mid-morning is normal, but in many cases it is simply the body reacting to a breakfast that was never designed to provide sustained nourishment. In the first place, a healthier breakfast focuses on providing the body with nutrients that create stable energy rather than quick bursts, followed by crashes. When the first meal of the day includes a good balance of protein, healthy fats, and fiber, the body processes the food more slowly and efficiently. This slower digestion helps keep blood sugar levels steady, which means energy is released gradually instead of all at once. As a result, people often feel fuller for longer, more mentally focused, and less tempted to snack on sugary foods before lunchtime. Protein plays one of the most important roles in a satisfying breakfast because it supports muscle function, helps regulate appetite, and slows down the digestion of carbohydrates. When protein is included in the morning meal, it sends signals to the brain that promote fullness and reduce the desire to keep eating. Many people who replace sugary breakfasts with protein-rich options notice that their mid-morning hunger disappears or becomes far less intense. Instead of constantly thinking about the next snack, they remain comfortably satisfied for several hours. Healthy fats are another key component that helps stabilize energy levels. Foods that contain natural fats digest more slowly and provide a steady source of fuel for the body. Unlike refined carbohydrates that burn quickly, fats help extend the feeling of fullness and contribute to better blood sugar balance. When combined with protein, healthy fats can transform breakfast from a short lived energy boost into a meal that fuels the body consistently throughout the morning. Fiber also plays a crucial role in creating a balanced breakfast. Fiber slows the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream, which helps prevent the sharp spikes and crashes that often follow high sugar meals. In addition to supporting digestion, fiber contributes to satiety by adding bulk to food and helping the stomach feel full. Meals that include fiber rich ingredients tend to keep hunger under control and support a more stable metabolic response. When these nutrients work together in a single meal, they create a powerful combination that supports both physical and mental performance. Instead of the familiar cycle of feeling energized briefly and then suddenly exhausted, the body experiences a smoother and more consistent release of energy. This stability can improve concentration, mood, and productivity during the early hours of the day, which are often the most demanding for many people. Another important benefit of a balanced breakfast is its effect on cravings later in the day. When the morning meal contains enough protein, fat, and fiber, the body is less likely to experience intense sugar cravings. Stable blood sugar reduces the signals that trigger the urge for quick sources of energy, such as sweets or refined snacks. Over time, this can lead to better portion control and healthier eating habits overall. Because the body no longer feels the constant need to chase another energy boost, many people are surprised to discover that when they shift their breakfast toward more nutrient-dense foods, their overall relationship with food begins to change. Instead of eating because of sudden hunger or energy crashes, they start eating based on genuine appetite and balanced nutrition. This change often leads to improved energy levels throughout the entire day, fewer mood swings, and a greater sense of control over eating patterns. Understanding how breakfast influences metabolism can be a powerful step toward better health. The first meal of the day acts like a foundation that affects how the body manages energy, hunger, and focus for hours afterward. When that foundation is built on balanced nutrients rather than sugar and refined carbohydrates, it allows the body to operate more efficiently and maintain a steadier rhythm of energy and appetite from morning until the next meal.